Okay, if you're like me, you're probably wondering what is the black finned trout. I had no idea until Justin had told me. Now the chances are it's because it's so rare. And apparently there is only one place in the world that you will find this trout. And it's in Ireland, Loch Melvin. So it's quite easy to see why it's called the black finned trout. All the fins are black. The tail is also quite large. It's a bit larger than the normal tail. Now I have done quite a lot of research on the black finned trout. What I have found, there are two lakes, or lins as they're known, in Wales that could contain the black finned trout. And these are Llyn Bygeilen and Llyn Gada. While doing the research, the first thing I found out is that these fish are not easily caught. They're very difficult. And this is probably adding to the fact as to why they're so rare. And the second thing that I found out is all of the video footage and photographs that I've seen are of this fish here. It's obvious when I'm looking at this, it's not the black finned trout. They're calling them a black finned trout purely because they've got a dark coloured dorsal fin. So are there actually any black finned trout in here at all? But as they say, there's no smoke without fire. Okay, so we're up at very early hours of the morning and we're heading for Llyn Bygeilen. So why we're heading for this Llyn is what we've read. And it does say that if you get to this water at the right time of the year and you get the right conditions, that your catches could possibly reach 15-20 per rod. But this is fishing mainly for the brown trout. As for the black finned trout, if they do exist in this water, we're well aware that it's going to be like trying to find a needle in a haystack. But I wouldn't mind betting that there are some locals that fish this water somewhere, and I'm sure they would know more about the black finned trout. One thing that was recommended as we were doing the research, and that was access to the lake. They highly recommended a decent 4x4 to tackle the track. So we got no 4x4. So we're up for a long walk.
Yeah. Smile, everybody!
So after many miles of up and down many hills, we think we found it. Why I say we think we found it is there is no signs directing you to this water. Now if it wasn't for the boys being there, who were able to obviously go on and Google it, I myself wouldn't have had a clue. Getting out of the car, the first thing we did notice, it was very windy and it was really cold. Now if you ever do a trip like this, the first thing you've got to think about is comfort, safety, making sure you've got extra layers if they're required, plenty of fluid, and wear good walking boots. And at the same time, making sure whatever you're carrying, that you can cope with carrying it over longer distances. The conditions in places like this can change so quickly. What you'll notice is the boys always seem to be a mile ahead of me, and this is because I'm climbing up and down the hills, trying to get that better shot, like what you're viewing now. But then I get back down the hill and I've got to make up a lot of time, so I spend most of it either walking super fast and even running just to catch up. Now that lake in the distance I was hoping was going to be the water. But the boys have already googled it and they don't think it is. They think that it's another lake much further on. That's the boys on the horizon.
Absolutely stunning. You get an idea of the height we are up here. 1,700 feet above sea level.
How are you feeling?
It's quite tiring, isn't it? Or I'm feeling it. Okay, so we've just come up passing this lake here. and I really thought that this was it, and we've walked for quite some distance now, and Justin says this is not the lake, so we're gonna keep going in that direction, and I'm hoping over that hill in the distance we're gonna see some water. Well, another dip. I was coming over the brow of this last hill, and I was hoping that this was going to be the water down in this hollow. Apparently the boys have googled it, it's not the one, so we have to continue going that way, and hopefully it'll be in that furthest dip ahead of us. Fingers crossed, because it's getting pretty damn warm now. It's not hot. The weather, you wouldn't believe, but it's really cold. But with all that walking, and I thought being up here, put some thermals on, and at first I thought good idea, but after this walk I wish I didn't have them on. Can't believe it, there is some water ahead of me. I'm hoping this is going to be it, and I'm almost certain it is.
I tell you what, I am blown away. This is stunning.
I bet they ate a lot of fish.
I was thinking of that now.
Yeah. You know, when you think back in the day and they're right on that lake, I wonder, they must have been feeding on fish loads, like.
Leak in the winter, man. Bit drafty, innit?
Yeah.
I like the indoor garden as well. Talk about my house.
It's like your house, Steve. And this must be the lake then. It is. There's the boathouse. Wow. It's quite nice to see, isn't it? Just for a sit down. Okay, so we've made it down onto the water. Whereas these fish then are, I would say, a bit easier caught. I wasn't going to say they're going to be easy, but I'm hoping that we're going to pick one or two of these fish up today so that we can see it. So there's 4 of us up here fishing. There's Paul, Justin, Steve and myself. And once we got down here we realised the wind has picked up. It's just dropped off a little bit there now, but it was quite blustery just a moment ago. So we're obviously going to be heading around to the left of the lake, because we're mainly all right-handed casting to make it a bit easier, and head up to try and get to the top end of the lake. Now I'm looking at the top end of the lake myself, mainly because of where the wind's coming from. And what we get at this time of the year often, and whether it does happen or not, is the heather fly. Now if the heather fly comes off, they come off in huge numbers, and they will be blown onto the waters. And that's the place to be then, I'd say, is up that top end. So they're being blown off, and where you get that bit of slack water from the wind coming across, as long as your cast is decent and long enough to reach the ripple, and that's where most of the feeding will take place. So that's what I'm hoping when we get up the top end there. But then it's all weather conditions at the moment. We got the right amount of wind, but not the sunshine. But who knows, it could happen. So what most of us have set up with at the start is we're going on floating lines, and most of the patterns are going to be, again, being that these are wild brown trout, is traditional patterns. Everything, even you know, I think last night I was there tying up a pattern that I haven't tied for many years, and it's what I used to use for the sea trout, and it's a dunkeld. So I've got a few of them. I've got a few Alexanders, because obviously they're always saying that a bit of black, bit of red, bit of silver, and the combination of the Alexander has all of them. So I've got a few variations of the Alexander. Anything with like mallard claret, Dabbler's another good one, putting them on the dropper, but at the moment me, Steve, are sticking with the single fly. Justin and Paul, I think, are going on to the 2-fly cast. And if we find the wind does drop and we can control the flies a bit better, we'll probably increase the cast. But we'll give it a go, and then hopefully we're going to see some fish.
Leave some for us, Just.
Hey boy, taking a trip.
Okay, just to give you an idea about the water, we obviously know now that it's 1,700 feet above sea level. It's about 45 acres and it's peat stained, and the surrounding areas is actually quite tricky. There's a lot of areas which are quite boggy, possibly quite deep as well, and then you've got a lot of these holes. Now it's assume it's probably from when the peat has dried out and it creates these crevices or holes. But the problem with this is that the grass grows over these holes and you don't know when you're treading on one. We've only been here 15 minutes and we've all fallen down these holes already. I've fallen down twice just getting here, and Justin has just gone down another one again. So it's very tricky, but you've got to watch your footing. You've got to take your time, as I say, because you just don't know where they are. But apart from that, Justin and Paul had started fishing a good 15 minutes or more before Steve and I had even got up anywhere near the water. And Justin had already had 3 fish. They got to this bay here and it was holding a lot of fish. So obviously the 4 of us are targeting this area, but the intentions are to try and cover as much water as we can. And it didn't take us very long at all to decide to up the cast. So Justin and Paul now are on a 3-fly cast and Steve and myself are on a 2-fly cast. Now normally a good method for covering waters like this is that you start off covering the margins first before you even really approach the bank, and then you work your way out. Once you've done that, you obviously cast, move, and you work your way around the lake. So this method then helps you locate the fish. Once you find the fish, you continue fishing, and once it goes quiet, you continue moving. Okay, so what about what we're fishing? Now, you obviously know we're all fishing with the floating fly line, and the tippets are going to vary, and it's not too critical, but it's as an idea. I think Steve with his 2 flies is averaging about a 10-foot tippet. I'm closer to about a 15-foot tippet, and Paul and Justin are closer to 20-foot of tippet. Now what we generally do is probably put about 10 foot of tippet to the first dropper, and then anything between 4 and 5 foot thereafter. But as I say, for me it's never too critical, but as long as you've got a bit of spacings in there. But if you are fishing, say, darker waters, then we generally try to keep the patterns just a bit closer together, possibly as little as 2 to 3 foot. And finally, the flies. What flies are we using? So what Justin's got on is the claret muddler on the first dropper. Second dropper he's using the black dabbler, and then on the point he's using the black and silver dabbler. So Paul is going for claret muddler on the first dropper, Delbach on the second dropper, and then he's got the hazy variant on the point. So myself, I'm going with the Dunkeld variant, and then the little blue on the point. And then Steve's flies, he's just mixing them about a bit, trying a bit of everything, but he was quite successful with the black and silver dabbler that Justin gave him. Now, for a lot of you that know brown trout fishing, you would probably look at this and see Justin's setup as being the better setup. And for most of us, we would agree. But this isn't about catching numbers of fish. We always work as a team, and what we try to do is vary it as much as we can. And as we got a day of changing conditions, we don't know whether one pattern will work a lot better than another pattern during the day. Plus the fact we don't really know what pattern to use when fishing for blackfin trout, as there is so little known about the blackfin. So this method for us works. So long as everybody catches fish during the day, we're happy. So we've set up for the 2-fly cast, and I don't think it was more than 10 minutes when I had my first knock, and not long after the first fish, and it just kept getting better.
Yeah. Hey! Tell you what, they swim fast too as well, don't they? Huh? They go fast. Yeah, twice I got hit then. Fast figure of 8. Nice one, Steve.
Oh, look at it.
You lost it.
Yeah.
What you may have noticed is we're picking up quite a few fish further out. Now what we believe that there's a drop off, possibly about 3 or so rod lengths out.
Yeah. Because that was coming in then, and that was really fast coming in. It was hard to keep up with it. Tell you what, it's scrapping like hell. That's only 4 inches big. And Justin again.
That's double figures.
God, that is so pretty.
Huh?
That is so pretty, this fish. I need to get into the water, don't I? Wet my hand on the net. God, the colours on this thing. Look at that. That is so pretty. The spots on them. When they hit, you wouldn't believe how small it is, would you?
Right.
It's so aggressive.
No, yeah, it's a proper wallop, isn't it?
Another really massive one. Ugh. This fish is huge. Okay, so we've had a few fish and it's been pretty brilliant, and Justin, as always, within no time, I think he's on to about 14, and him and Paul have gone round now. Me and Steve are heading up that way now. But what we found is, more often than not, is moving the patterns. Just let them drop a little bit and move them a lot quicker. I've even picked one up here, a little one here, and that was stripping quite quickly. But it's normally fast figure of 8s. Watching Justin, he was faster. Paul was moving. Paul's lost a nice fish up here, probably just over ½ a pound. Justin's had one just a bit smaller than that. And me and Steve were just picking up small fish at the moment. But you never know. Anytime a slightly larger one will come across. But when they hit so hard. You can't believe that a small fish would hit so hard. They come in towards you sometimes so fast you can't keep contact with them, and this is where, like Paul now, he's lost quite a few fish because you're struggling to keep contact with them, but they are so fast. But the best method at the moment is darker fly, going a bit quicker, or the muddler like Justin had on. But it is it's just stunning. And believe me, when you're in places like this, fishing for these fish, you don't need many of them, but you will get hooked. It's just unbelievable. The wind's maintained, the cloud has gone a bit, it's gone a bit clearer. We can see a lot further now. So who knows, we might even see some of the heather fly coming off, which would be good. What's happened is the fish have gone off a bit, and what has happened is the sun's gone in behind the cloud. When the sun is out, the fish were moving, but the fish have certainly gone off it a bit with the cloud cover. Ah, last. Stripping in, Steve. Oh, he's come off. Again. Another knock. Yeah. see if I can get this one in. That's right, I'll bank it here. Oh, he's huge compared to the other one. Oh, and he come off. Yeah. They're too small. They're probably only just about hanging on the hook, even though it's a 14. It's great when they hit though, isn't it? You know what I mean? They're solid, like. Justin getting aggressive again. Oh. A nice one, buddy. Wow, I'm really hungry. Have you fallen down any more holes?
Oh, loads.
Oh yeah.
Loads.
The one I went down, I just went through it now and I was like, where's that? Oh, there it is. And a lizard, it must have been about 4.5 inches long. Climbing.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
I don't know, I just went down. There's like little nooks and crannies, isn't there?
Yeah, I know.
Went straight down.
Oh,
Oh,
mine
yeah.
was up to my knee, like.
Yeah. And it's quite wet by the sty, isn't it?
Again.
Black.
Is it?
Black or claret. I got one with a shiny body on the middle, the one I tied yesterday. I got 3 on that. None have taken the one with a red hacker, you know. But most of them have come on that.
Is it?
Really? I was thinking of. Yeah, shit.
Yeah, did you see the size of the fish?
Yeah, the fish are no bigger than that.
No. Well, that one you pulled in last, wasn't it?
I thought you were serious then. Huh?
It was like, what,
yeah.
fingertip?
Oh, there we are. Smaller than I thought.
Yeah, but look at the water I've covered compared with the other 3.
Put my leg.
10 times more.
Yeah.
You lost it now, haven't
Yeah,
you?
I got him.
Ah, there's loads all the way down this bank.
Is it?
How long's your leader?
About 10 foot.
Make it up to about 15.
An influencer now, are you? Influencing what though, huh?
Steve in again.
So the fishing for me and Steve is quite steady, and we're slowly building up some numbers. Paul, on the other hand, is doing somewhat better, and Justin is on a blinder. When we spoke at dinner time, he was on 28, so I don't know what he's on now. But for all of them fish, we have not seen anything of a black finned trout. But what we do know of the black finned trout from the research is they spend most of their time deep in the water, and when they're down there, they are very difficult to catch because of what they're feeding on. But on occasions, when there's a feast near the surface, they will come up and feed, and this is why we want to stick where the fish are feeding near the surface, hoping that the black finned trout, if they are in here, could come up. But as this is not happening for us, what we decided is that Paul and Justin were going to fish the opposite bank. Now, when we're looking at this lake, it appears that the opposite bank is going to be a lot deeper. So they're going to head over there. We're going to look after their gear over here. Stephen and myself have decided to stay in this bay. Now, we've been up to the top end of the lake and it's a lot slower. But so long as we're picking fish up, we've got a chance.
I was on the Dunkeld.
Apart from not getting much luck as regards black finned trout, we haven't even seen any heather flying either, and it seems unlikely as the conditions seem to be getting worse. We're getting more and more cloud.
Yeah, got one. Ah, it's on the blue this time, on the point fly. Look at that. Absolutely stunning. Beautiful, beautiful fish. Oh, like a bullet. On again. Yeah. Seen that one come up. That was quite a nice hit. Oh, there he is. Oh, and a big jump. Do you see the jump? And again. Come on, fishy. Oh, he's a lot plumper and darker. Oh.
Honestly, I can't think of any better way to fish for these fish than on the fly. It is such good fun. You really get to feel everything.
It's good. I've had a pink fin and a blue fin.
You had many?
Yeah, don't ask me how many I've had. Yeah. I knew it was coming. Justin's down again. You.
Justin going down another hole? Or is he just being stealthy? There he is.
Pretty. Damn pretty. Dunkeld again. There. Beauty, beauty, beauty. Them spots are unbelievable. Unbelievable. Paul just fell down a hole. He just fell down a hole and got a soak in. Did you get wet?
Sit on the fucking hole.
Oh, over the top of the welly.
You sit on the top.
I'm just laughing at the boys for falling down a hole. I just went down a hole myself. That's what you get, is you get this grass. You can't see the damn thing. There's a big hole there. And I went straight in there. It just goes. Boom. Oh. Fast.
The boys and myself, we decided we're going to give it up. We probably had another hour and a half of fishing that we could have done. But we're going to give it up. The clouds are getting pretty heavy and we know we've got that long walk back to the car. And we don't want to get caught out in it. But once we got back to the car, we then started to share some of the photos of the fish that we'd had. Paul did mention to look at this one in particular that he thought was quite dark. We could not believe it. He didn't really make much of a fuss about it when we were on the lake, but on looking at this, we could see this is definitely a black finned trout. Now when you compare it to the brown trout that we were catching, you can see the difference quite easily, apart from the black fins, but it's the spots on it. The spots are so much different. The eye on the black finned trout is very dark, and the back fin is definitely a lot larger. Now they're sat there, they're both collapsed, but if you were to open that tail, you can certainly see that the black fin has a much bigger tail. So Paul is one very lucky man. There's very few people probably have caught the genuine black finned trout, and there's very few people will catch the black finned trout, and we know this now. But to give you an idea, on the day we banked 83 fish in total, and in all fairness, most of them fell to Justin's rod. Justin himself pulled 42 fish, but it gives you an idea as to how many brown trout you would have to catch before you even get a black finned trout. But one day we will come back to this water and we may get lucky. But to be honest, the whole day has been unusual. We were very lucky on this morning to hook into so many of these fish, and I very much doubt that on our return that it'll be anything like this. But we may never ever catch another black finned trout.
One thing that I did forget to mention, and what we were going to do, was have a 2-night session fishing Tybee pools and wild camp overnight. That's on hold for now. What happened is that we can't get permission to do the wild camp, so we've decided to knock that on the head for the time being. Track on here, there's no problem with it whatsoever. It's hardcore. So why they say it's tricky, I don't know. So sort the code out for the lock and bring your car down, there's no problem at all. These sort of waters are definitely worth getting out and fishing and exploring. They're not big fish, but they are powerful fish. You get picked up with them and it's just unbelievable how hard they hit, how fast they are, and they're so pretty. But you only need a couple of them just to make the fishing trip. And to be honest, even if I caught nothing, I'd be more than happy. I've enjoyed this day and it has flown by. Get out, make the most of it while you can. I know the boys and myself, we are looking at doing some more lakes, or lins as they're known in Wales, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to it. I do find this more enjoyable than the small still waters. Still waters are great, but this is something totally different. Just being there, you know, the whole surrounding, the peacefulness of it, it's just fantastic. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. The boys are a long way behind me, as I see them. They're a bit slow. But if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Hit the bell for future notification. Give us a thumbs up and a comment. So until the next video. So from me and the boys, take care.